You know who's good at chip strategy? Ice. Play Ice. They can chip.
Really? Yeah. You know what, Raptor? That's a good take. Ice is better at hitting than Storm. You're right about that. Good job. Why is that the case? Don't know. I was told Storm was the hitting school at the start of the game, pretty much. But I guess we're supposed to play Ice now if we want to hit guys. Alright, what's going on, guys? It's Liahm here, and welcome back to another video on the channel. And in today's video, I have another Ratbeard React kind of video. You guys actually killed the last one, so I decided to make another one here on an interesting topic. And I'm basically going to go through the stream that you guys sent me, and I'm going to react to it and bring up points and counterpoints to what he is saying. I think this honestly isn't a bad idea because it answers questions the devs have, and it also like brings up the facts of the meta and all and stuff like that. But yeah, without further ado, I got my Tim Hortons right here, as you can see, and we're good to go. And let's get right into this React content.
I saw a slight discussion in the PvP channel about traps and blades being the reverse spot on the wheel, since blades would apply to a full dot and traps don't. It was an interesting point. I can see that. It is an interesting point.
It's common sense, bro. If somebody traps you in PvP, they're going to blow your shit up. Okay? If somebody blades you, that means they can either like Minotaur and go around that shield, they go for like an OT strat, or this burst you, kind of like the trap in a way. That is always how it's been. You don't feint somebody and then send a dot or a Minotaur.
I thought Storm was too good. I've been hearing they've been tearing people up with a blade trap and aura. I've heard that too. I've heard that Storms have an 80% win rate like that, which makes you ask, can their stats...
He's talking about me. That's when I went, I think from like veteran all the way up to like 1950. I was like 26-3 or something. I don't know. Something like that. So that's me in this case.
Really be that bad?
Okay, here's the thing now, right? Like, the entire community says this. Like, captain on a Storm is warlord on any other school. Right? Like, the amount of skill it takes to get high rank on a Storm is way higher than it is for any other school, right? PvE Storm is stupid. I agree. Because I know someone's going to be in the comments and be like, oh, Liam, you PvE, yeah, it's boring, it's stupid. I agree. I'm not disputing that point, okay, guys? But Storm in general is an impossible school to play on, right? And in good metas, we've seen like 4 people on the first 2 pages, right? But we've had no Storms on the first 2 pages for like almost a year now. So the strategy is dumb, but good players know how to set for it. Fires just pack Golem in sets and they beat PvE Storm. Life beats PvE Storm. Death, Ice as well. Balance, it's a little rough. A good balance can do it, but it's a little rough. But keep in mind, the only reason Storm's hot to PvE is simply because the base school is unplayable with your Gambits and your regular neutral play. So that is important, and you cannot dispute that fact, guys. Yeah, even Cass is in the chat being like, that's cap, bro. Yeah. It just really goes to show the difference, because, like I always say, there's 3 levels of play, right? There's the highest level of play, and then there's the middle ranks, where a lot of people are in, like, the PvP Discord, who, they understand, like, 3/4 of the game, but not the highest level of play, and they always get, like, really hard stuck on a good school. And then there's like the recruits who are like recruit to like sergeant, maybe veteran, right? Who have a very little understanding of things and complain and don't actually self-reflect and like adapt to a meta. They just complain and stay hard stuck, low elo.
Because if players are still thinking in terms of certain matchups, that really is the dual school problem all over again. That's the dual school
point. That's a fair point. I can agree with that.
And so I would say that while we don't have an explicit buff for Storm planned, the devs are not sitting around asking each other, how can we buff Storm?
That's right. We're only asking ourselves, how can we buff Death and make Death better, right? How can we make Death like the supreme of the game, the best in PvP, the best in raids, the best in PvE, right? That's the question we're asking here at Kingsisle Entertainment, because under Code of Conduct, 0.3 section fucking B or whatever, Storm always has to be bad in every meta in 5th age, right, guys? So You know, our hands are tied as devs. That's how it is. Let's keep it going here.
We are asking the safest way to continue to make dual schooling a viable option,
Okay.
and it is a particular problem for Storm. So
Yes.
pass.
Right, because when I get headless for 2k and then I use the counter Stone Colossus and it does a whopping 600 damage with max pins and everything, giving up stats to do that. It's a little bit of a joke when I have 3k less health.
When players say there are good and bad matchups, what they are saying is that there are counter schools. And when devs think there are bad matchups, what we think is this person was either packing or not packing the counters necessary to beat the other person, which is how a CCG should be. Either you're prepared or you're unprepared.
Yeah, that's fair, right? And that's kind of why PvE Storm was broken for a while. And again, it still is bullshit. I'm not disputing that, guys, right? But once people started packing counters on the counter school, the whole strat just fell apart. Like life, ice, death, fire, like they can all just beat it.
Deathstroke says every school can pack counters to PvE Storm. PvE Storm can't pack the counters to every school.
Yeah, correct. Because PvE Storm, you have to pack a lot of buffs and a lot of copies, because that's how you actually kill them fast. Because they have to cycle for the counters, but you overwhelm them with the buffs reliably from main and side deck with your copies, right? So you can't make a deck to kill them, but then also pack every counter and all, right? But the good schools where you only have to do the same 3 moves, like I don't know, pig, stone, minnow, Jin, you have all that room to pack all the other counters, like a Triton, like a Natham Scarab, you know, stuff like that. When your school's good and simple and formulaic and all, you have so much room to pack the counters, right? But the whole strat of PvE Storm is kind of predicated on you not deck failing and them deck failing and the match being over fast, right? Which is why it's kind of bullshit and so frustrating to play against. Again, I do understand what Cass is saying here, but I'm sure Ratbeard's not going to get it because he doesn't play the game.
That is factually untrue. That is simply not true. Pass again, and Orthrus.
Game sense stuff.
PvE Storm is easily counterable. Good. I'm glad to hear that. We will stop worrying about players complaining about PvE being too strong. We will now officially take that off our list.
There's some schools that enable PvE, right? So Fire, Myth. I think PvE still inherently at its core is broken, and I still think they need to look into why that's broken and fix that still, right? Again, this was just a matter of players adapting to the meta and packing the correct counters, right? Like I said, the strat does not win to half the schools in the game if they actually pack the counters, they know what they're doing, and they have a brain. So that is what it is, but PvE is still extremely dominant on the fire and all. Yeah, Cass says PvE Storm, not PvE, right? Because Storm can't hit around a shield and one shot like Fire King Artorias or like a Myth can with Stone or I don't know, like Drop Bear maybe, I guess. So, again, Cass has got a good point here, right? But I would say in general, PvE is extremely dumb, right? And PvE Storm is easily counterable if you are a good player on any of those schools I listed that can deal with it. Problem is Storm dies too fast. Yeah, I agree. And you know what's funny, guys? They said, remember when the health buff happened, right? They said they were gonna raise the floor of PvP to try and help Storm out or whatever and stay alive better. But then damage got out of control, and we're still in the same boat and arguably in a worse place than we were before. Right, so it's kind of one of those things where they don't listen to the community and they do their own thing, and now we're in the same boat, right? So we're kind of coming full circle here, and I think Ratbeard does say he does want to raise the health more, but if you don't actually are understanding the issue here, we're just going to keep running in a circle like we have been since that last update when you gave more health to try and help Storm, but then you gave life and everyone their pierce and damage with no drawback.
Dwaro says no, it's blade, blade, trap, trap, or a shrike hit. But it's easily counterable. I could give PvP players the chip meta that they want by putting a -50 outgoing on the entire match. Do you think that would fix the problem? No, I knew you'd say that. Because what the Storm players are saying is they want the most damage and they want the most health. They want more health than they should get. You can't have the highest damage of all schools and have the same health. Guys,
This is where this falls apart easily, right? Then you have a school like Death and Myth where they have all 4 stats. They have health, they have pierce, they have damage, and they have resist, right? All Storm has is damage, right? And the way you've designed the game, I know you fucking hate hearing this, Ratbeard, but when you penalize a school for their damage and they only have 1 stat and not 4, and then the other schools don't have to be penalized for that damage, that school's always going to be worse, right? Unless you actually make Storm do more damage in the model because of the sniper they have to run on their pet and shit like that, or whatever the accuracy they have to give up. Unless you account for that, which I know you don't because, like, you play the game, you find out it's just simply not true. Like, you have schools in the game that, with the health increase, got every stat in the game with better cards, and Storm's got nothing. Their cards are horrible, and they have 1 stat that they get penalized for. Other schools have 4 stats with no penalty. Of course this is gonna happen. Of course.
it won't work. The math ain't mathing. You have to sacrifice stats to have 50% more damage than most of the other schools.
This has gotta be my favorite one, bro. 50% more. Bro, where am I getting 50% more damage, bro? My hits do the same as any other school. They do. A 4-pip storm hit through a shield and a 4-pip bounce hit through the shield, the bounce does way more fucking damage, bro. Where's the 50% damage increase there? I'm sorry, but that's just so delusional that if you play the game, that doesn't happen. If I tapped and I get stoned, I lose that trade. There's no 50% extra damage there. Maybe there is if they didn't have resist and inflated stats on the other side of the board. Maybe I could see where you're coming from there. But no, there is that stuff blocking that. So, like, what are you talking about, dude?
Carlos says it's honestly impressive how it's the same argument every stream about Storm. I know.
I mean, it's an issue when the school's been unplayable all of 5th age except for 1 meta, maybe 2 metas, right? And I think Rapid even acknowledged that in my last stream or this stream, that he agrees how bad the school is. So when we're running around in the circle, like I stated a couple of minutes ago, and no changes are coming to actually substantially make the school playable, I mean, yeah, people are going to be upset. Also, there's the whole identity that was lost as well on Storm, which is what Storms are upset about as well, right? So it's just they won't listen, right? And this has resulted in a lot of people just like boycotting Storm, not playing Storm, and even people who don't even like play the school still can identify how dog shit and like why would I ever play the school? It's stupid, and the devs refuse to accept that reality. So like,
But I'm here. And to be fair, we do get useful feedback from the Storms. They don't mean to give it to us, but they do give it to us. We do hear useful things.
Sarah brings up a good point here.
Suarez says it's honestly impressive that Storm still has been the worst school for a year straight. Listen, the person who would call himself the best Storm player, maybe not the best, but the most experienced Storm player,
Yep.
has told us he can get an 80% win rate playing PvE Storm, but he wants us to buff the stats of Storm so that he can play a suboptimal strategy.
Okay, okay, listen. It was okay, it was like 78% or 79%. We rounded up first of all. Okay. PvP is about back and forth. It's not about just blading and trapping and nuking your opponent. If you want to do that, you go and play PvE, right? Everyone Sauce says this. Everyone says this, right? Everyone says this. PvP is about back and forth, chips, trades, and outplaying. The model is around PvE Storm, and they've kind of confirmed this, just kind of talking about it, right? They want Storms to go for like one big shot, one hit, and that's how their model is designed. Storm can do that easier than anybody and kill them easier that way. But nobody wants to play that way. If I want to play that way, I'm going to do a raid. I'm going to do a PvE boss fight, right? PvP, I want my stats to be supported so I can have a back and forth meaningful game.
Which would only end up buffing the PvE Storm even more.
But you could fix PvE Storm. You could simply fix PvE Storm. Stop trying to make it something it isn't even then. Storm's been the glass cannon school since all time, but it's not been the glass cannon school since Rochambeau. So I hope Scarlett's talking to the devs here with this comment, because I know that you're not talking to the community talking like this. The school is glass cannon. You're supposed to hit and get rewarded for hitting and do the most damage. And the whole trade-off is your DPP, and you have to run sniper for your accuracy to do more damage. But you don't do more damage in the combat model. You don't.
He wants to play a chip strategy with a school that doesn't have the health to chip.
Which, again, basically confirms the way they've designed the game, right? You're not supposed to go back and forth and play Glass Cannon Storm. PvP's always been about back and forth and outplaying your opponent. Nobody wants to fucking one-shot somebody and trap and blade them a million times. No. Get that shit out of the game. Make skill matter. Make back and forth meaningful plays and trades actually work.
You know who's good at chip strategy? Ice. Play Ice. They can chip.
Really? Yeah. You know what, Ratbeard? That's a good take. Ice is better at hitting than Storm. You're right about that. Good job. Why is that the case? Don't know. I was told Storm was the hitting school at the start of the game, pretty much. But I guess we're supposed to play Ice now if we want to hit guys.
You picked a school that can't do that. So buff up fast and overwhelm them with your overwhelming damage.
No one wants to PvE and PvP, bro.
I want to play the glass cannon school, but I want to chip. Do you understand how that sounds? I want to pick
Okay, I'm gonna let him finish here. Hold on.
the school that's glass cannon, but I want to have enough health to play chip.
Do I even need to like say anything to this? Like, every school should be viable.
You can't get an 80% win rate on Storm. I've played it, and I have a 60% win rate on it.
That's Cass, in case you guys are wondering. Okay, well, I was the one who invented this strat, and I had it 80%. It was like 78, 79, like I said, right? And Cass also did that, and he got Warlord this season, so good for him. After 300 games, I think.
I hit Warlord on every school but Storm because that school has been the worst every meta. I don't dispute that.
Yeah, the school is dog shit. Yes.
There is, however, still a problem in that Storm players want something different than what the school can deliver.
What does the school deliver at the start of the game? Fast-paced gameplay, glass cannon, rewards for being hitting, and nukes the opponent. What is the school now? Healing, stack. That's nothing alike. You completely changed the whole school, which is why we're mad about the identity. I want to be rewarded for hitting as glass cannon, like I was supposed to be at the start of the game. That's not a thing anymore. That's why we're upset. No one wants to PvE. No one wants to stack. No one wants to heal on a storm. Except the recruits who are like, oh, it's cool! No. This is a funny comment. Storm players need to accept that their schools has pros and cons. This guy doesn't play the game. There's only cons to playing the school. You can't trade, none of your gambits work. And PvE is bullshit, not fun, and half the schools can counter it. Where's the pro exactly?
I would say at this point, it is likely that Storm will get a health increase in the next level cap. I will focus on giving them more health. But it is absolutely going to come at the cost of something else.
I don't think it has to. I think you could have designed the health jewels in a better way. So Life and Ice get the most health jewels, regardless of Firestorm and Life being the health schools, right? So even something just that simple, designing the HP jewels to give more to the HP schools would have went a long way and just made the game so much better, right? So I don't think it's like you need to focus on like taking away damage and giving more health. It's just the little design stuff, like the jewels, right? Like if Storm had 800 HP jewels like Life and Ice get, as opposed to the 500 we have now, we would have like 600 excess health and a whole other slot to like do stuff with our stats.
And Cass, I think you just volunteered to be the Storm player in the Punch Out. I want that to be you. Can't be Liam.
Yeah, yeah. Liam's too controversial. He knows too much about the game. We can't have him on there, guys. We can't have him on there. It's too risky for our Kingsisle business. He might say something. All our sponsors might pull out. We might get canceled. I might lose my job. We can't have him spitting facts on there, bro. We can't have it.
Or maybe it should be Liam. Maybe it should be Liam. I don't know.
I don't know why it wouldn't be me.
Some Storm. Some Storm.
If it's not going to be me, though, it should be Kaz or Soul Sword. It should be one of the 3 Storms that actually know what they're doing. So
He's going to volunteer for the Punch Out. Is Chip something the devs want to support for the Glass Cannon? I do think that PvP is more interesting when it is Chip. I do believe that.
Yeah,
like to
take.
my bones.
Yeah.
That is what I would prefer to see.
So why isn't that the case?
For sure.
Why isn't that the case?
But is that how regular Wiz is played?
PvP is an exception. PvP is a very small minority, and it's about outplaying your opponent, not who buff stacks first and wins first. Right? That's the whole point of why PvP is such a big barrier to entry, is because you have to have a very thorough understanding of the game and exchanges and learn tempo and all. Right? And Rochambeau, and you want to dumb down the game more for the casual Joe and all, which is fine and all. But at the highest level of play, chip strats should be meta and should be dominant, and the better players should always win. Early on in the game, noobs, like raid noobs or whatever, could do, gambit shit, but that should not always be the best and work at the highest levels of play. You should see it here and there, not just the best thing 24/7. It should be chip because chip is more skill expression, fun to play, and play against. Right? So why would you not have that? And Ratbeard clearly agrees. So
how we lower the barrier to entry for players, we kind of have to bridge that, which is what advanced combat is supposed.
So you're making the game dumbed down to lower the barrier to entry, but not thinking about spellements or rating to play PvP. You're taking away the skill expression from PvP and raising the barrier, the actual barrier to get in and play the game, to express your skill. That's stupid. I'm sorry.
Supposed to do. We have to bridge between what players are taught through 170 levels of Wiz, which is buff, stack, and hit, right?
Noobs who want to play low rank and get into it and have a casual, oh, I look at this graph and it tells me how to beat this school. Sure, fine, have that. That's cool. Whatever. But that should not be dominant at high ranks. No. Chip is more skill expression. You want skill expression in a ranked competitive environment, not freaking brain dead, brain rot, Rochambeau bullshit. No.
That you prefer.